I'm going to have to actually read this next question because it includes a quote. And
Sure.
it's from your book that apparently you never
Probably a
proofread.
lie. Probably a lie, but go
Ah,
ahead.
well, that is the actual quote. I'll preface this by saying Jim Cornette says Kenny Bolin is a fucking liar. So in your book, I probably screwed you too. You basically blame Jim Cornette for instigating the entire Montreal screw job and phone and
The
giving you phone calls about Bret.
let me give you the absolute shoot on that. And this is my hand to whatever it is. I'm an atheist, but whatever it is you believe in, so be it. The absolute shoot on it is that we knew Bret Hart, and Jimmy did not like Bret Hart at all. I had actually never really met him. I just knew the stories I'd heard about him. So much like Vince Russo, I formed an opinion about him without even really knowing him. So I hated Hart, I hated Russo because Jimmy did. And then finally there came a point of time I said, well, maybe I should meet some of these people. Maybe I should form my own opinion because Jimmy fucking hates everybody that disagrees with him. Shawn Michaels, all just the list goes on and on, even back then. But we knew that Bret Hart was leaving. We knew that he did not want to put over Shawn Michaels in Canada, regardless whether it was his hometown or not. I can't lose in Canada. Okay, so that means Shawn Michaels can't lose in America? Does that mean the British Bulldog can't lose in the UK? I mean, goddamn, I don't think we can do wrestling this way. So Jimmy was convinced that he was going to pull a Medusa. He was going to keep the belt. They knew he was going to be on Nitro like a few nights later after this pay-per-view, the next night, I believe. And but he was refusing to do the job. And I said, well, there's a way around that. And I swear to whatever it is you believe in, this is how the conversation went. I said, Jimmy, if they're that convinced that he's going to leave, I said, Hart will fall for this in a heartbeat. Put him in the sharpshooter. Of course, Bret Hart will be the only man who can escape the sharpshooter. He would never tap out on his own move. But the minute he gets the sharpshooter locked in, get the referee in on it. I had no idea who the referee was going to be at that point. Let that thing get locked in because he's got to milk it to get out of it. He's got to grimace. He's got to show he's tough, that he can get out of his own finishing move. Once he's in that thing for about 30 seconds, the referee says he gave up. Who the fuck's to say any different? Who can prove it? That's it. Ring the bell. He gave up. I heard him. I quit. And if you see how and for 3 weeks, they shit on my idea. Jimmy would go to Vince. Of course, Jimmy wasn't telling him it was my idea. Jimmy was telling Vince McMahon it was his idea. So, and I was fine with that. I suffered through that through WTBS Atlanta, that I would see my ideas ending up on television. I wasn't getting any fucking credit for it. He would never even call me and thank me. Hey, that was a great idea. That really worked. And my ex-wife can testify to that. My son can testify to it. People that have known me all my life. My ideas were showing up, especially on WTBS Atlanta and occasionally on Raw. I'm going to put Jimmy over in a minute on an idea he had that got shit on that they gave him no credit for. So for 3 weeks, they're shitting on the Montreal screw job. It was my idea how to get them out of it. Jimmy even told me to tell the story on who's slamming who because he wanted the story out there. He said, here's the great thing, Kenny. You're going to be telling the truth, but nobody's going to believe you because you're Kenny Bolin. You're a fucking con man and a liar. You take credit for everything. So the truth will be out there. And I can just say, well, that's Bolin. I don't have to admit or deny that you're telling the truth. As it sounds great to me, I'll tell the fucking story. And if they don't believe it, who gives a fuck? At least the truth will be out there as to how the Montreal Screwjob came to be, that you and I were basically the instigators of the Montreal Screwjob. Well, Russo tried to take credit for it. Well, I knew for a fact Russo didn't have anything to do with it. He might have been in on the meetings. He might have been there when the idea was bantered about. I'm sure he was. Russo and Cornette were on the same booking committee at that time. But Russo wanted to take credit for it as well. He can take credit for hearing about it. He didn't come up with the idea. It was me, solely me. Jimmy even told me, Kenny, he'll never be stupid enough to fall for that. I said, he's got too big of an ego. He's going to want to get out of his own hold. Trust me, he will do it. 3 weeks go by. Vince shits on it. Vince shits on it. Jimmy swears now, in retrospect, that he never called me because we didn't have cell phones then. He didn't. He called me from a fucking payphone and says, Kenny, you got to see this. The shit's going down. I said, what shit? The Bret Hart shit. It's going down. I said, you got to be fucking me. He said, Vince has had it. He thinks that Bret's going to try to fuck him. it's going down. So I knew 2 hours before the pay-per-view that the shit was going to happen, or at least we thought it was at that point. It doesn't mean they're not going to back out of it. The only ones, according to Cornette, that really knew what was going on was Hebner, Triple H, Shane, Sean, who denied it for fucking years. And that was about it. There weren't many other people that knew. There were a lot of people said they knew. Russo didn't know.
Probably Jerry Briscoe must have known. Because I think Jerry Briscoe would have known, wouldn't he? Because wasn't he teaching Sean protection?
I would think, yeah, he definitely knew because he went there to get Sean out of the ring because Sean was putting on like, this is fucked. I can't believe it. Did you see the performance Michaels put on at the end, acting like he was furious that they pulled this shit? He knew the whole fucking time. That was one of the greater performances you'll ever see because I knew Sean knew he had to know. And he's putting on his performance like, I didn't know anything. And then finally, years later, he admits that he knew. But he milked that for years that he didn't know shit. So when the match was over, now this is what Cornette tells me, is that Hart came back and punched Vince McMahon right in the jaw. Furious that he got fucked over in Canada, even though he was going to fuck Vince the next night if given the opportunity. Shane McMahon stepped in. Shane was going to beat Bret's ass. Jimmy told me that Shane is a legit fucking badass. He would have beaten Hart within an inch of his life. Vince said, no, that's okay. He gets one. I got that coming. He gets one. If he touches me again, do what you got to do. And that's the story Jimmy told me, is that Bret knocked the shit out of Vince. Shane was going to beat his ass. Vince said, nope, he gets one. And he got it. And I think Triple H was even acting like he didn't know at that time, but he knew. And, but yeah, there were very, very few people that knew that. And I was so proud because that was my idea that I was told would not work. Now, Cornette shits all over that now, of course. All Jimmy's idea. I had nothing to do with it. I never called Kenny. We didn't have cell phones then. Yeah, we had a lot of fucking pay phones, you lying bitch. So, but no. And I was thrilled. And my son will tell you, my son was sitting there listening to the call. A friend of mine named Chris Turner was sitting there listening to the call, and they heard many of the calls where Jimmy and I were laying out the groundwork on how to keep Bret from fucking the WWE. So whoever wants to call me a liar, fuck you. I don't give a shit. I know the truth. I'm good with that. I've been telling the truth since 2008, I think, when I did it on Who's Slamming Who, maybe 2007. That's the God's honest truth. Fuck Cornette. It's not like he's known for telling a lot of the truth here lately. And I don't give a shit. I know what the truth is. I know people that listen to the phone calls that know what the truth is. Actually, now I'm not all that proud of it. I'm sorry I fucked old Bret over because I heard Bret likes me and that he says that I have more respect for the business than Cornette does. I took that as a great compliment. I've got promoters in Canada that said Bret wants to meet me when and if I get to go there, which we're, as soon as they open the borders, me and Chris are doing appearances there in Canada, doing Q&As. And I hope to get to meet Bret, and I'll tell the story to him just the way I'm telling it now. And I probably owe the man an apology because I wish he had a fucked him now. So what do you do?
What are you going to do?
It's all hindsight. Well, so there you go. Now, did you know any of those background stories, or had you heard that before?
I read it in your book.
Well, there you go. It's a good. If I'd only read my own book, I would know that you would know.